you doing? What are you doing out? How did you get out? Did he figure out how to get up? Do you think he hopped up those steps?
We are going over to our friend Alex and Kareena's boat on Valhalla. On the way here, we went through some pretty heavy weather. We had 15-foot waves, pretty high winds. Unfortunately, both of their sails ripped. Their mainsail and their reefing point, and their jib just kind of ripped at where this umbrella meets the what's it called, dacrons. They pulled out their new jib that they had on the boat, their spare jib, and it just has a little bit, not a tear, but the threads are coming loose on the end of it. So we're going to bring over our sailrite machine and help them reinforce that, so they can continue sailing onto Turks and Caicos with a working jib. So that's what we're doing now.
Do you guys want to tell us what happened?
Oh my god. Okay. So, you know, one bad decision leads to another one, but we, you know, we leave, it's dark, everything's cool, like, can't see anything, but the swells weren't that bad.
It wasn't bad when we started.
It wasn't bad at all, man. It was like, we were like, you know what, for leaving it, because that was the first time we'd ever left the anchorage in the dark. It was like, you guys are, like, been with us for a lot of firsts.
Oh no, we left
That's what I said.
Rodriguez, we left at 04.
How long have you been sailing?
I don't know.
Well, we bought the boat
Actually,
in May.
like, really sailing? 2.5 months.
November 1st.
So we sailed little boats in Okinawa and stuff, like 18-footers and things like that. And
Which
then
makes
we,
us experts on the
yeah,
boat.
and we rode on it. We were passengers on our friend Tony's boat in Guam.
Probably beautiful weather.
Oh,
It was amazing.
Dude,
yeah.
Diving,
I have no idea. He took us to like the prettiest part of the island.
Dive, go and anchor.
Yeah. They took us to like Seti Bay, this beautiful lagoon with like palm trees, nobody around. You know, it was like serene and calm. It was all. We were like, oh, we're sold.
He had AC.
So after that, it was like, all right, probably a year and a half before I retired
Okay.
from the Marines. And then we got to Florida, and within a month and a half, after looking at like 20-some boats, we found, you know, Valhalla, and we've been working on her since April or May, right? May until November 1st when we left our home port in Jacksonville. But we were up the river, like pretty far up the St. Johns River, like 20 miles inland. So even on like really windy days, we didn't have any swells or anything. You know? It was just chop and stuff, and yeah, this rum, this was pretty. This
You
took
know
us by
why?
surprise.
It's because we left on a Friday.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We left Georgetown on this trip to Turks. That was when we departed on the
That's
trip.
what I said.
That's what she said. We didn't left on a Friday.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I like the way you're thinking about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It wasn't bad luck then.
Yeah.
But I will
like the
say
way you're-
that run from Rum to here, Crooked Island, it was probably the biggest swells and the biggest sea I've seen.
Oh, I've never been in anything like that except in a Navy ship.
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
And I've been on boats like my whole life. Like this isn't like, it's not like I haven't been on boats. I just don't have any experience sailing, but I drove boats for the Marines for a while. I had never been in seas that like got that big that fast, except on a huge ship crossing an ocean or an enormous body of water. Not something you know, not some island hopping thing like this was. That was a big surprise.
Everything was going fine until I woke up. He was like, the rail's in the water. We need to reef.
I was like, well, I had the reefs in, and then you start pulling up. You're like 2 miles behind me, and you start creeping up, and I'm like, how is he moving so fast?
It was definitely a race. Like at that point,
I was like, well, it's not a race. It's just, you know, I'm trying to learn like how to do this stuff, and so I'm like, it's not a race.
We had a serious head start from you guys, and then all of a sudden you start like you're gaining on us.
We kind of found a nice pocket.
What?
We found like the perfect trim.
Figure out. I was like, we were reefed in, and we were doing 6 knots, and I knew we were going to have plenty of time to get in. I didn't have to touch anything. I really didn't. It would have been fine. But when you started coming up, I started thinking about if there was something technically that I could do to the boat.
Make like a small adjustment.
To adjust it, to see if, I mean, because if you guys, I know if you were moving at that rate, you were probably comfortable enough. And we were comfortable enough at that point that it didn't seem like a big deal to loosen the reef up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the seas weren't that crazy at that point.
Kind of an hour and a half before we came up on you guys, it was like, I pulled on a line trying to organize them, and we probably had a reef in the jib, or like, you know, it was a roller jib, but it just kind of like swung out on its own. I'm like, oh shit, all right, I guess we got full jib out now. And then it was okay, so I left it. And I think we picked up that speed, and that's when we started coming up on you guys.
But we still have the double reef.
Yeah, we did have double reef in.
So I was like, well, that's got to be it. He's got all his sails out. So then I just let all my sails out. And then when we started, because we got that point where we kind of crossed a little bit, you know, we got close to each other. She's the first one that noticed. She was like, no, he's still reefed up. And I was like, oh, well, whatever, we're good. And we were good for the longest time. We were fine. Like, the boat, she handles beautifully. Like, it was fantastic.
Well, yeah, I had to go downstairs to use the head all the way in the bow, and then I came back up and I was like, I'm not feeling well. So her and the doggies were curled up right in front of the companionway bridge right there on the floor.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect little spot. And then the rail just goes under the water. Like, the whole rail, like, went under the water. Like, when I say dipped in the water, I mean, like, the water was, like, on top of the boat. I was like, if we'd have dipped any more, it would have come into the cockpit. Oh shit, we might be a little overpowered, you know? I started with the main first. So I let the halyard out a little bit, thinking that I could pull it down. I let the halyard out, and sure enough, the sail came down a little bit, but then it just kind of bunched up.
Yeah.
It just kind of bunched up, and I was like, I know you're supposed to turn into it, but I thought, man, I'm only trying to go like a couple of feet. Maybe I can just muscle this in, you know?
Yeah, no.
No, man, no way. Couldn't muscle anything. And so I was like, all right, so I put the halyard back in, and I managed to pull that back up some, so I kind of got a little bit of shape back in the main. And then I let her out some. I let her out. I was like, just to spill some wind to make sure while we were doing this it was going to be okay. Then we tried to fill in the jet.
So we put Penelope on our autopilot.
Our autopilot is Penelope.
So trying to hold like this jib sheet and this jib sheet, and then you're trying to like crank the
while you're getting tossed around.
Yeah, and so, well, yeah.
When the seas are on our beam at this point, so they're like, these swells are coming over and they're just like scooting us over. So while we're trying to do stuff, we're like grabbing on, and I mean, it started to become pretty chaotic. I'll be honest with you. Like,
so then you can't
it felt like things were getting out of our control.
So the jib sheets start like flying like crazy. At some point, I just saw something big and white like fly off into the air and like hit the water, and I'm like, shit! There goes the iridium GO antenna. How are we gonna pull weather?
Yeah.
And so that's gone. But crazy enough, it still works. There's like a cup out there now, like covering it, and it's good to go.
Yeah, the autopilot could just not handle. So you couldn't handle those seas. It was too much. Like the course corrections that you needed to do, like to handle those kind of swells. I mean, the troughs were like, it easily like, and I don't want to exaggerate. Like I really don't. But so conservatively, I'm saying that I easily saw 15 to 20 foot waves, when what was supposed to be 7 foot waves. You know, like just the troughs that we were dropping into and rising up over. Like we're looking at nothing but sea, and then we're looking at nothing but sky.
And that was about the time that you guys were like, Valhalla, Satori, and I was like, not now!
No, I know, because
oh my God, it was so
we
crazy.
sit pretty high in the cockpit, right? We're center cockpit on Satori. When we're down in the bottom of those troughs, and you see, you know, they kind of come in sets, and when the sets come and the big ones come in, a wall of water.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
And they're breaking at the top over our head by far.
Yeah, they started breaking. That's when I knew things were bad. When I was like, wait, I started looking at the peaks and I was like, these waves are breaking. I'm like, and I didn't understand it, but somebody's got to drive the boat and hold it in the seas. And man, I hand steered that boat for three and a half hours back through all that. But my shoulders hurt so bad that I haven't felt that kind of pain in a long time. I'm trying to keep, I know, look, everybody's bow into the waves, right? Yeah, right. No, you don't do bow.
Once. That was really
Anybody that says that has only been on a little boat in like 4 foot sea. You try to just ride the troughs softly, come up one side. We're just playing this game where we're mostly keeping was this she snoring? Yeah, Mary Jane snores. I was like, I thought it was Nick for a minute.
Hey, beautiful.
was pretty vintage.
And in the middle of this, you look up and you see like a 10-foot tear
Yeah, I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
in the jib.
In the jib, yeah.
Which is why we're doing this job today. This is your
Yes.
backup jib,
This is the backup.
which needs a little mending before you can actually use it. Who knows how old it is, right? It's just
Oh yeah.
stuffed away in a locker
we
somewhere.
Hope that this was the only problem.
But you also had an issue with your main.
What happened was I went up front and I untied it and I left it alone. I left the other two tied. Actually, I ended up
No, we
untying.
untied those.
I ended up untying those two. And here's she told me before we left. She was like, "Do you really need to tie those down?" And I'm like, "Well, technically no, because we have the single reefing points, but it's extra security. They put them here for a reason. Let's use it." Man, should not have used those things.
Wait, I'm sorry.
It'll be
Can you
okay.
say that again?
I already said it. It's on film. You're good. So we were like, you know, when we were first looking for a boat, we were like, oh, we want a center cockpit. Everybody's like, get a center cockpit boat with the. So we were looking for those, but then we were like, no, we really like the sugar scoop transoms with the. We can go diving off the back. And don't get me wrong, that's still great. But dude, we were kind of like hating on you guys a little bit. We were like, I wish they're all dry.
Yeah.
In their little center cockpit boat with their fully enclosed, you know.
With all that isinglass.
I was like, I wonder what they're doing. They're probably having paella or something, you know, or flan. And
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
Kelly
"This
made
is
a
nothing."
flan.
Yeah, I was like, we're having a good time, you know.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your story, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for showing us.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that button below. Now. Right now. Do it now.
What are you doing? What are you doing out? How did you get out? We got a crazy mystery right now. We pull up on the dinghy and Arthur's on deck. We never leave him on deck. He was down below when we left. And we were only gone like an hour. We gotta figure out how he... Did he figure out how to get up?
I don't know if this means anything, but this was like this. It was a little like that.
Do you think he hopped up those steps?
This scares the shit out of me. You sure you didn't bring him up when you
No,
went down
absolutely
there?
not. How the f did he get up? And how long was he up here?
You taught him how to be a little problem solver. Houdini, how did he get out?
I don't know. That's a hell of a climb for this little dude.
How did you do that?
So we're looking at all these different spots, like from the couch. Could he get up into the hatch or those? Like, there's no way. There's no way he gets up there. But he doesn't know how to get, he doesn't know any other way outside other than this. So he wouldn't he wouldn't associate the hatch or those windows from the bedroom these were open, but there's no way he's getting from the bed up there, you know? It's like wait into that. What the hell,
Let's
Arthur?
come up here and call him up and see if he'll climb up.
He's
the
not going to
stairs.
do it again.
Wait, come here. Just try it. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come here. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Oh, he did it. No! Are you kidding me?
Oh. Okay, that's good. Now
All
we
right,
see how you did
we
it.
know how he did it.
Oh no.
Are you kidding me?
Baby boy, you can't do that. You're gonna get hurt.
I'm kind of proud of him.
You're gonna get hurt. No. Oh. We're right here.
A good king lets nothing stand in his way. You proud of yourself?
Can you take him to the beach?
But I must try to figure it out alone. Yeah, I must try to figure it out alone.
On the next episode of Sailing Satori, we say goodbye to Crooked Island and head around the corner to Atwood Bay. We catch a seafood feast fit for a king. Then we depart on the overnight passage to Turks and Caicos. But not without engine trouble, of course. Check it out on sailingsatori.life.